Good afternoon. How are you doing, Alyssa?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well. Um, it's been a little while since we got together. Um,
Mhm.
Wondering if there's something you want to touch back to, or there's a topic you'd really like to delve in today as we spend time together.
Yeah, I think I want to bring something new today. Um, it has to do with a cousin of mine,
Mm-hmm.
actually.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so so yes, I have this cousin. We are about the same age. She's a couple years younger than me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and she was a bridesmaid in my wedding. I got married 2 years ago. Um, and she just wasn't all that there for me during the wedding process. I am an only child, so she and I were very, very close growing up. I always thought of her as like a sister. Um, and she, well, at the time she was living in Portland, Oregon. So she was very
Okay.
far away. I didn't expect her to be, you know, at everything. I mean, I really only expected her to come to the wedding because that's a long way to travel.
Mm-hmm.
But there were just like several times where she kind of disappointed me throughout the process. Um, when it came to the shower, the wedding shower, I don't think she ever told me that she wasn't going to come, but I didn't expect her to. But then I found out like the next day that she had gone to Florida for a bachelorette party that same
Okay.
weekend. And I was like, oh, wow, it just kind of caught me off guard. And, the reality is, if she had just called me, I would never have said, come to my wedding shower over a bachelorette
Mm-hmm.
party. Bachelorette party is way more fun. I totally get that. But I wish she had called, to say like there had been this conflict. Um, and then when I had my bachelorette party, she did say that she wasn't going to come. I didn't know why. And then it turns out that her friend had gotten married like a week before that, here on the East Coast and not very far from where the bachelor party was. So I was kind of like,
Mm-hmm.
again, like, okay, like again, I would have told her go to the wedding, like don't choose my bachelorette party over the wedding. But like, still there wasn't a phone call. There wasn't like she just sort of she just sort of made the choice to like prioritize this other friend. Um, And then came the wedding day, or it was the day before the wedding, and she called me that morning, and I was like, trying to do 1,001 things. And she called, and she was all in tears. She missed her flight. She couldn't, or her flight was delayed, and it kept getting delayed, and she had stayed at the airport until like past midnight, and she ended up going home. I forget exactly what was going on at the time, but she couldn't make it for the wedding. She wasn't going to come.
Okay. And
Um,
she was a bridesmaid of yours.
she was a bridesmaid, yes. And so, and in the moment, I was like, well, I can't deal with this right now. I just sort of like put it aside. I had to do all my things. And then I remember that we had some family coming in from Texas who encountered the same thing, whatever had been going on with the airline, I can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
They sort of went through the whole thing, like the same thing. They couldn't get a flight out either. But they like kept calling and then got up at like 6 a.m. the morning of the wedding, like ended up getting a flight. Like they worked really hard to get out here.
Mm-hmm.
So I was sort of like, okay. And again, it's not that I would have, I mean, this other family went above and beyond, but it just sort of was like, it kept happening, this thing where I felt like she wasn't really, I don't know, like it just hurt. I
Mm-hmm.
felt like I would have moved mountains to get to her wedding. That's how
Mm-hmm.
I feel about her. Like I just love her so much. I would have done anything to get there. So this was 2 years ago. We've never talked about it since, but it comes up for me pretty often. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like, I just feel like I have a different perspective of our relationship now. I feel like I don't want to put in as much effort because I
Mm-hmm.
kind of feel like I sort of got this message that like maybe she doesn't prioritize me the same way as I prioritize her.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's what it is. It's just kind
Sure.
of the thing that comes up for me every now and then.
Sure. And one's wedding and all of the things around it are one of the most important events of our lives.
Yeah.
So I guess we all would kind of up the stakes, if you would, of what it means in a relationship. So
Yeah.
I can understand how that would be hurtful.
Hmm.
Absolutely. As
Yeah.
you think about it, Alyssa, we can't control others, as we all know. But if you could make this relationship into what you would like it to be,
Mhm.
what would it look like?
Yeah. I would want her to put in as much effort as I do. I would want
Hmm.
her to, you know, call me, you know, um, even throughout the wedding process, I wouldn't, honestly, I don't think I would have told her to do anything differently than she had
No, I
done.
heard that. Hmm.
I just really wanted to talk to her about it, you know. Um, and so yeah, I think it just, I don't know, I would want to feel like I would want to get the sense that she was really considering how I might feel in any situation, really, because a lot of it is like I just don't know that she thinks of life that way. I think she is sort of more at the center of her world.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, so I would want her to, I don't know, I guess I'm having a hard time answering the question because it's like I don't need her to like put me at the center of her world. I don't
Hmm.
need her to like think of me all the time. But when it comes to big stuff like this, like, yeah, just call me, like let's talk it through. Or at
Hmm.
least let me know that you're really struggling to prioritize these two really important people who are getting married. Like
Right.
let's talk about it.
Hmm.
I don't know if that answers your question, but
It does answer my question. So, if you think about, if we were to imagine that you go to sleep tonight
Mhm.
and when you wake up in the morning, everything has changed in your relationship with her,
Mhm.
um, and it is where you would like it to be, how would you know what would actually be happening specifically?
Honestly, I would really like an acknowledgement from her that
Hmm.
that she hurt me.
Hmm. When you
Yeah.
say an acknowledgement, so,
So for her to like call me up and say, look, I've been thinking about it. I want you to know, I don't know, I don't think I was really there for you in the way that you needed when you were getting married. And I'm really sorry. And what can I do to repair? Like, I really do think like, yeah, that's what I need. Um, because the other part of it is now she's not living in Portland anymore. She's actually in Boston, which
mm,
is an hour and a half from me, and I have not seen her since
okay.
since she moved. She hasn't made an effort, and neither have I, but like I'm sort of putting distance between us because of what happened.
Hmm.
Like, hey, you lived in Oregon for like many years and now you're like right here. Like I didn't see you at all during I haven't seen her since 2019. It's like I would, yeah, so if everything were better, like I would think be wanting her to call or to say like, let's get together next month,
Hmm.
like
So you'd
I
like her
haven't
to
seen
be
you in
in
5 years.
contact with you
Yeah,
instead of, it sounds like it's kind of just nothing right now.
sitting there. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's just sort of this thing.
Um, so again, we can't control other people. I'm just reiterating that because we know that we've talked about that
Yeah.
in many other ways. But um, can you think about a time or can you look back and think of a time when you were in a situation where in relationship things weren't going as you wanted them to, and you were able to do something that shifted that?
Yeah.
Okay, what did you do?
Yeah, I think of another, well, a friend of mine who I was very close with growing up, and then we had a rupture when we
Hmm.
were like mid-20s. Um, and we have come back together now, and we've just, yeah, we sat down and talked about it. I
Mhm.
remember
What did you do? What specific action did?
I apologized.
Okay.
We were both, I mean, we were both at fault. We were young. We weren't really, I know I was not prioritizing the relationship the way that she was. I mean, this actually
Mhm.
is like a similar situation. Um, and I remember I sat down with her and I apologized. I just said, I'm really sorry. I didn't, you know, it wasn't an equal friendship. I didn't prioritize it the way that I think you needed me to. And
Mhm.
yeah, that's what we did. I apologized and we talked it out. And then she did too. Like it was
You
two
too.
sides of it, but
Yeah.
it felt really important to acknowledge my responsibility in the downfall of our relationship.
Mhm. So you took the initiative to
Hmm.
change that relationship.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And you did it because now you have a relationship with that other person.
Hmm.
What could you take from that experience that you might apply here?
Yeah. Um, I mean, I could do the same thing. I could take initiative. I guess that's the piece I'm struggling with a little
Hmm.
bit. Like,
Hmm.
I know that I could take the initiative. I know that I could be the one to repair this. I think she would acknowledge it. I'm guessing she kind of senses that things aren't the same as they used to be. Um,
Hmm.
but there's a piece of me that just doesn't want to. Like I feel resistant, I feel like I don't know. It's like I'm kind of done. I'm kind of done doing that. Like I've done that for like now looking back, I'm like, it's been me who's like been prioritizing the relationship and um I don't know. I just kind of I'm feeling like a little bit like that teenage resistance. Like I just don't want to.
Absolutely
It's on
understandable.
her.
When we've been hurt like that, and we don't feel that we caused it, so you were able to touch back to your other relationship because you had a part in it. And I hear that you don't feel that really had a part in this one as far as um, the
No.
effect on the relationship. Understandable.
Yeah.
And you may not be able to retrieve it,
Mhm.
but then you would also have to think about, if I'm not going to retrieve it, how, where am I going to put that?
Right.
Am I going to continue to think about it? On the
Right.
other hand, you could think about, whether or not you want to do that
Mhm.
and what steps you might take. So think about the next week and this particular issue. What could you do to just get a little closer to, thinking about reconciliation and what you might do? Not to do it, but to just ease up on it a little bit, or to decide that you're never going to do it. But what would it take? What would you have to actually do to move off the dime, if you would?
I think that I think actually that journaling about it would be good for me because
Okay.
I've kept a lot of this just inside or talked to my husband about it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and actually when you said like giving the relationship up or however you said that, I'm like, no, I'm not ready
Okay.
to do that. But I do feel like I'm digging my heels in a bit. And so
Mm-hmm.
I think
Mm-hmm.
that I need to like um
It's a standoff.
just yeah, it is a little yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it
Yeah.
definitely is. Um So yeah, I think actually if I were to journal about
Okay.
it and like process through what I'm actually feeling, that I think that would be a good start for me.
Okay. And again, it's completely in your control as to which way it's going to go.
Mhm.
That's not the issue, but I hear that you haven't completely decided which way you want to go with that.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that might be a place to start. And I think journaling certainly helps us work through that process.
yeah,
Yeah. So what I'm going to recommend between now and our next session is that you actually, act on that and sit
yeah,
down and actually make that, if you would, a priority for yourself to take a closer look at that between now and then we could talk a little bit more.
yeah, Yeah, absolutely. I think that's great advice, and I will definitely do that.
Okay. Well, unfortunately, our time today is coming to a close. Anything else you want to talk about before we head out today?
No, just thank you for holding space for that and for helping. I feel like I've moved the needle a little
Mhm.
bit.
I
So,
hear that. And yeah, don't know exactly where that's going to go, and that's okay.
mhm.
But knowing, it's in my control that I might start to move the needle and decide where I want to move the needle.
Yeah, absolutely.
All
Yeah,
right.
thank you.
Well, I look forward to seeing you next week, and I appreciate you sharing all of that with me.
Thanks, Linda.
Thank you. I think I'm stopping the video. There. Actually, I tried to stop me
I think we're still
recording.
recording.
Oh, are we? Uh-oh. We are. Sorry.